New Zealand, a land full of beautiful landscapes, amazing manukahani, and Lord of the Rings. But New Zealand is also known for another thing, and that is that New Zealand was the last major landmass to be discovered in the entire world, with the earliest Polynesian settlers arriving sometime between 1200 to 1300 AD, only a mere 700 years ago, which compared to its neighbour Australia that has over 65,000 years of settlement history, it makes you wonder, why did New Zealand remain undiscovered for so long? And who discovered it? Well, let's talk about that right now. So to start, we should start in Africa. Africa was the birthplace of humans. It is where the modern human got their start. These early humans were hunter-gatherers living in small nomadic groups. They would hone their skills in tool making, learn the art of hunting and foraging, and begin to develop complex social structures. However, they would eventually decide to migrate out of Africa from what is known as the aptly named Out of Africa theory, that states that over 200,000 years ago, the human, or rather the Homo sapiens living in Africa, would begin migrating out of Africa, hence the name, and towards Europe, towards Asia, and towards Australia. Now, the big reason why humans migrated out of Africa that most scholars agree upon is because of climate reasons. You see, Africa would have periods where it would be extremely hot and dry, and this is not good for humans, as humans thrive in wet conditions, as the rain is not only good for us to drink, but to use for crops. And so these climate changes in Africa would also change the sea levels, allowing new passageways out of Africa to be discovered. Now, while these migrants would eventually make it to Australia, a place very close to New Zealand, and become the Aboriginals that we know of today, they would never cross the Tasman Sea and be the ones to inhabit New Zealand, and this is mainly due to a number of reasons, including their seafaring capabilities were mainly only suited to shallow rivers and coastal navigation. Also the fact that they really had no reason to migrate out of Australia, as Australia is a big place, the 6th largest country by total area. And so because of that, they had so many resources to gather and explore for thousands and thousands of years until, the Europeans came and kind of massacred a bunch of them. But that's a story for another time. So no, it wasn't the Aboriginals that would migrate to New Zealand. Rather, it would be the Polynesians that would come from a place you might not expect, Taiwan. Yes, so most scholars agree beginning around 3000 BC, the indigenous people of Taiwan would begin to migrate out of Taiwan due to a desire for exploration, but also to find more resources. And so they would go south by means of what at the time was quite advanced seafaring capabilities, with many believing them to be the first humans with such vast ocean traveling capabilities, which would be especially useful as if you look at the map, there's a lot of water in Southeast Asia and Oceania. It's probably why they called it Oceania instead of Landia. Yeah. But yeah, they would travel down Southeast Asia, notably down the Philippines, and then eastward towards Melanesia, discovering islands like the Solomon Islands here, Vanuatu, Fiji, and then during these travels they would further improve their sea capabilities, improve the boats and canoes they would travel in, and improve their traveling skills by using bird migration patterns, using the stars, using wind patterns. It was quite advanced stuff for the time. And so with these new skills they would continue their journey eastward into Polynesia, where they would find places like Samoa and Tonga and settle down. But then the final leg of the journey would come, the Polynesian Triangle. So the Polynesian Triangle is a triangle that encompasses the entire region of Polynesia. And it was some of the last major landmasses to be settled in the Polynesia region, with Hawaii in the north, Easter Islands in the east, and finally, the final major country to be discovered in the world, New Zealand in the south. with most scholar estimates putting the Polynesian arrival in New Zealand at around 1200 to 1300 AD. Once the Polynesians arrived in New Zealand, they would have to adapt to the new cold conditions, and eventually they'll become the Maori people we know today. And they would remain here alone for hundreds of years until the European discovery of New Zealand in the 16th century with Abel Tasman and the establishment of a colony in the 17th century with James Cook. And so that was the journey of the first settlers in New Zealand, from the hot landscapes of Africa to the distant Taiwan area, and finally through Polynesia to reach New Zealand, the last discovered major landmass in the world. Thank you for watching.